So nice to see everybody. Hope you're all well. Cross the shins, have a seat on the floor. Place the hands on the thighs, lift your spine. Pushing your feet down into the floor just a little. Let your head lift, let your shoulders drop, let your eyes close. In all the years I've been doing this, almost 20 years, there's always been a debate. What is the best type of yoga? Asana, pranayama, bhakti service work, different traditions, Hatha or Kundalini or things like that. I get asked that question a lot. I don't think any one thing has any claim to being the best form of yoga, except for the yoga you actually practice. Remember that when you're on your mat, sitting here, breathing into your time with your feet flexed and your eyes closed, and you're about to begin some level of work, remember, this is the yoga that matters because it's the yoga you're about to practice. It's not the metaphysical idea of should I or shouldn't I. You all came through whatever you had to do today to make this time for you. This is the yoga that is the best. Because this is the yoga that is being acted upon. So take heart in that you're doing the yoga that matters, your yoga. Because me doing yoga, while I get to be your teacher, ultimately me on the mat doesn't help you in the long run. You have to be on your mat. So take heart in that, my friends. That the time you're giving yourself is the right time. That you're doing the best yoga. You're doing the yoga that matters. You're doing your yoga. That you're not having to seek out the right thing because you're already doing the right thing. You're acting upon you. You're acting for your health or your enlightenment or your spirituality or your physical abilities. This is yours. This is the yoga that will help you in your life. The yoga you're actually taking time to do. So take a breath into that, my friends. The affirmation that you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Because this is the thing that once you're off the mat will change your world. Maybe a little, maybe a lot. But you're acting to create change. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. We'll Om shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. Flex your feet, chest up. Om. Om. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. The essence of action, change. You may not be totally in control of, but you will be guided by. A harmonious dance of life. Bring your hands into your lap, let your head rise and your eyes open. Cool, so nice to see everybody still here. A couple people trickled in, it's great. Grab a yoga strap and lay on your back. Start pretty simply tonight. When you grab your yoga strap and lay on your back, hook your right foot, stretch your leg up to the ceiling. A little bit of hip, hamstring, inner groin. We'll go from there. I'm surprised if you were here for last week Last Thursday class, I was very surprised to get very little angry text or messages. So that means you all must be hungry for the challenging backward bends and core work. So one of the things we want to do before we start engaging in any kind of form of muscle flexion is try and create some rotational movement of the legs, hips, and back. Stretch your left leg straight out, lay it on the floor. Your right leg straight up to the ceiling as best you can with your foot hooked in the strap. So notice when you're pulling on that strap, hook the strap around your foot, Linda. There you go. When you're pulling on that strap, your knee may tend to bend. If that knee bends, that means you're not going to get quite the full extension of the leg. So press your thigh muscle into the bone so the backside of your leg is lengthening. Push the foot up against the strap. Actively point your foot so there's an extension of the front and back side of the leg. Good. Bend your elbows wide to pull the leg towards you a little bit, but not as much, not so much the knee bends. It is more important to keep the extension and length of the leg than get the foot towards your face. Trust me, when your foot gets to your face, you don't become magically enlightened. I've put my foot in my mouth a lot of times in my life, and I have not gotten any more enlightened beyond from that. Press your left thigh down. Try to work the left hamstring. And it's not pushing your left knee down, but think of the space, your thud, between your thigh and your buttock, and push that towards the floor. So think about the muscles that are above it, your upper quad, the muscles near the hip. Flex those and depress that down. So there's a lengthening of the left leg and a descent of it over time. Because that leg stabilizing will change how the right leg gets a lot of its stretching work right. So Supta Padmasana, not Padmasana, Supta Padagonstasana, what am I saying? Stretch your right leg to the right, holding on the strap with your right hand. And then again, check in with your left leg. Notice the muscles of the left thigh that want to stop working and how the knee wants to overwork. Keep depressing that left thud down from the hamstring and the glute. And when you stretch the right leg to the right, become aware of your right foot. Did you start to pull the toes back to the face? Are you still pointing the foot? Point the foot, lengthen it. So lengthen the top of the foot and the back side of the leg. Overflexing the ankle tends to only put a lot of the work in the ankle or knee, or isolate it harder to the groin. We're going for an extension of the leg that can give you a much fuller engagement of that leg muscle. Take your right leg up. Take your right leg across to the left about 10 to 12 inches, somewhere in that range. So you feel the outer hip begin to stretch. Do not take the whole leg to the floor though. This is not full rotation. Your right hip is still on the floor and the leg only comes across the body, like I said, 10 inches or so, and then pull on that strap to stretch the outer hip better. So Pratima, take your right leg higher, dear. There you go. Flex your right thigh, point your right foot so you're still stretching the top of the foot away from you. And then flex your thigh and your hip muscle and pull the right hip down to the ground. So if the backside of your right buttock is lifting, pull it down to the ground so you feel the femur bone depress into the socket. As Mr. Anger would say, it lives in the bone is designed to be in the socket. Put it there. So it's not the full twist. Good. Keep pointing your foot. Take the leg all the way across now into the full twist, keeping your right ribs towards the right. Notice it's not me asking you to push your shoulder down or your arm down, but stretch your right ribs to the right as you stretch your right leg to the left. Point the foot. Really use the point of the foot to encourage the extension of that leg, not just the straightness of it, but the leg moving away from the hip. Move that muscle. Good. Bring the leg up. Switch legs. So again, start with the left leg straight up, the right thigh depressing down, not from the knee, but from the hamstring and hip. Point the right foot so the leg's extended. Good. Go ahead, take your left leg to the left. Keep pointing the foot so you're continuing the practice of extension. Take the leg up, take it across about 10 inches from the upright position. Still trying to keep your left hip on the floor. You're trying to point that left foot, extend the leg, and then when the leg pulls across, you start to feel the stretch. The greater stretch comes from flexing your left thigh and pulling the bone down towards the hip socket. Go ahead, take the leg all the way across into the full rotation. All right, bring the leg up. Switch feet again. We'll add a little bit of different stretch to it, to the quads and the legs. So stretch your right leg straight up. Before you start pulling on it too hard, you're going to bend your left knee, walk your left foot to the right side of your yoga mat, and then let your left knee fall towards the floor. The more that you pull your left foot towards your right hip, the more stretch you're going to get out of your quad and things like that. Good. So the action is not to push your left knee down. It will fall down towards the floor, fine. But stretch your left knee away from your left hip like you're trying to elongate the quadricep away from the hip joint. Try to take your left foot closer to your right hip bone, dear. Yes, yes, exactly. Very good. Shubha, left knee is bent. It's left foot near right hip, right leg in the air. So now take your left foot near your right hip, Shubha. There you go, and let your knee fall to the floor. Ta-da! You got it. Then stretch your left, continue to flex your left thigh, push your left foot towards the floor so you're activating the leg, and then start to stretch out. We won't hold this one as long as we did the other side, but the real work is not how much you pull the right leg, even though there is some work there. Work your left leg more, extending and flexing that thigh to try and get the quad to move. Take your right leg out to the right, still working the left thigh. Yeah, bring the leg up, switch your legs out. Left leg up, right foot near left hip. Good. Point the left foot, extend the leg. And flex the right thigh, stretch the knee away from the hip, pushing the right foot into the floor to try and get the knee to descend a little bit, but you just don't want to put too much torque on it. Take the left leg to the left, stretching the groin, hamstring. Bring the leg up. Take your strap off. Grab a block. You're going to plant both feet flat to the floor and place the block on edge. Flat is lowest height, edge is the middle height, tall is the highest height. Under your sacral plate on edge, please. Turn it up taller, Shubha. So remember, flat edge. Sacral plate is right above your tailbone, just below your spine. If you don't have a block at home, you could use 5-inch, 6-inch stack of books, saucepan, stuff like that. Lots of good stuff. All right, so with it under your SI joint, bring your knees together and take your feet about hips width apart. Feet are still on the floor, please. Squeeze your thighs and knees together with your feet about hip width apart and work on doming the heart in this. Can you create the action of actively rolling the top of your shoulders down to the floor so your shoulder blades move forward into the back so they lift up, so your chest lifts. A big part of this pose is not just pushing the middle to lower back up, that's easy, but go actively stretching the front of your chest muscles from the pectoralis to the top of the shoulder down, and then stretching that chest bone, your collarbone's wide, and the chest bone towards the chin. If you overwork the low back, it gets very challenging later. That being said, stretch your right leg straight out away from the body, laying your heel on the floor. Extend the leg, point the foot. And as you stretch the right leg away from you, notice the left leg and thigh wants to fall to the left. Rotate it in, keep it pulled to the midline so you're not losing that internal rotation of the left leg. And even as you stretch the right leg away from you, feel from the inner leg and the outer right leg, can you extend and depress both parts of that thigh down? Not pushing your inner knee, outer knee down, they'll go. But can you flex your inner thigh and push it down just as much as your glute and your hip extenders, the outer parts, are helping to press your outer thigh down? So there's an internal rotation to that right leg also. And again, dome the heart, check the back. Good. Bend your right knee, stretch your left leg out. You've stretched your left leg long. Again, internally rotate both legs. So the right knee comes to the left slightly, and as you stretch the left leg straight, press the inner left thighs down. Switch legs again, stretch your right leg straight. Elongate the leg, point the foot. Now draw the left knee to the chest. And then straight, no hands, you don't need your hands to hold your leg. Your leg can work on its own. I saw like half the room reach for that thing. I love it, but no. Stretch your left leg straight up. But beware how much your right thigh pops up. Depress the right thigh more. The greater work of this moment is, can you extend the legs? Using the block in this form is all good and well, but it's a better pose to start prepping the ability of your hamstrings to extend, start teaching the thigh muscle to be strong. So when we flip over and do those forms of backward bends, where gravity is depressing our back to our abdomen, give you some extra muscle to work with. So do the best you can to lift the left leg and to stretch it long, but work your right leg more, even at the cost of the left leg. All right, bend the left knee, take the foot down. Switch legs so your left leg is long and on the floor. Pull the right knee to your chest. But before you start working the right leg, take a minute with the right knee bent and work your left thigh a little more. Rotate it in. Flex and press it down, and then be aware of how when you straighten your right leg any degree up, how much that left thigh almost wants to follow it. And can you ask it not to? Can you make the base foundation of what you're working with in your body here stable? Very good, Shubha. Keep working that left foot like that. The more you point the left foot, the better. Eventually, you want the sole of your foot flat to the floor. You can give yourself a crazy foot cramp pointing your foot, especially the big toe, that left big toe pushing forward and down. Gets really fatiguing on that right quad very quickly. The abdominals have to work as well, especially the more you extend the leg. Bring the leg down. Bring the soles of the, bend both knees. Bring the soles of the feet together and both knees wide, Baddha Konasana. Supta in this case. Push the feet flat together as best you can. There you go, Ryan. Yeah. And then again, check your upper body. Now that the legs aren't working and you've actually had some work beforehand, are you still stretching the front of your chest towards the shoulder, the top of the shoulder down, so you can keep elongating the upper spine towards your chin? That action that I'm asking you to do right there is a way to start when we lay on our stomach and lift the chest up. It's how the upper back actually starts to have to work. You can't push your lower back down hard enough to lift your chest up without pain, but your back muscles and chest muscles can work together to get some lift. Good. All right. Feet flat to the floor. Lift your hips, take the block out. Have a seat on the floor and seated straddle stretch. You're having low back tension or you're just tight normally, hamstrings are tight, it's okay to sit on a block or blankets or bolster and stretch your legs wide, Uttanavista. You can reach your big toes, great. If not, you'll probably need a strap nearby. Before you start reaching forward and grabbing toes, take your fingertips alongside your hips and lift your spine up as tall as you can. Now, if you were just to take your hands out of it, you would have to have something to help keep you lifted. Flex your thighs, push your inner thigh bones down, your inner thigh muscles down, and point the feet. Push your heels harder into the floor. And then from the fingertips alongside the body, pushing into the floor, stretch both arms straight up and try not to lose that lift of the abdominal space. Notice how far, for most of us, the chest already wants to come forward. That keeping our strength in our legs and our hips is hard. So lean back just ever so slightly so you feel your sits bones press into the floor. And then lift. Can you make your legs work? Take a look at your knee and your foot. Do they push more to the outside, or are they pushing evenly inside and outside? You can tell by how your foot rolls. When you're pointing your foot, is your big toe and pinky toe pointing equally? I say no. I can tell even if I can't see your legs, I see your ribs. Your ribs are all off. Take your arms out wide, move them back slightly behind the shoulder. So the chest opens, right? Feels kind of same. Let the ribs lift, move your shoulder back, and then exhale, extend out, keeping your hands behind your shoulder as best you can, out being forward towards your feet. And then notice how hard it is to move forward in some actions because your hips don't rotate. So keep pushing your thighs down. Let your buttocks lift. Think about flexing your glutes, letting your glutes pick up towards your low back, give you some forward action. And if you can grab your big toes with the hands, go for it. If you cannot grab them with the hands, it's okay to grab a hold of the shin, hook the strap around your feet. Lots of options. But grab something. Don't grab your toe if it's going to hurt at Pratima. Grab your shins. Take care of your body, dear. You don't want your yoga to beat you up. Good. So then check where your shoulders went. When your arms were up and extended back, your chest was open. The minute you grab your toes, you come down. Move the shoulders back again. Bend the elbows a little bit to help keep the chest elevated. And breathe. And just for a moment to check in with your legs, to make sure you're still engaging your back, your legs. Just keep your chest and everything else where it is. Just take your hands off your feet for a moment and then notice how your legs reflex really hard to hold you back. Try to keep your legs in that flexion even as you're extending forward. If you want to eventually be able to go deeper into these poses or have that mobility of your hip, it comes from doing these range of motions with the legs engaged and stable. Even if it's a little bit forward, Ryan, get it? All right. Bring the body up. Lay flat on your stomach, please. If you know that you have trouble bending your knees and reaching a hand back and touching your foot, I would take the moment now to put a strap around your right foot. If that's not a problem for you, just lay on your stomach. So laying on your stomach, flip over, Miss Shuba. Laying on your chest, dear. Thank you. All right. Prop your chest up on both elbows, just so your upper body, your upper thoracic is lifted. For a moment here, let's take a look at a couple different of the leg actions and some backward bends. We did some of these Thursday. Wheel pose is an action where the legs and the chest lifts. Upward facing dog is just the chest and the legs to a minor degree. And then cobra is just your chest and your legs are actively pressing down. So from here, with your chest lifted, flex your thighs, squeeze your thighs tight together, your feet tight together. Try to press your quads and your calf and the front of your pelvis, because your glutes are going to do it, down into the floor as hard as you possibly can. You have to elongate the leg. Legs are straight right now, Glenda. Stretch the leg away from the hip. So it's like you're trying to stretch your, as my teacher would say, your big toe, pinky toe will drag the leg away from you, and then push the glutes down, flex each buttock, push your pelvis down into the floor. Now, if you're pushing with your low back, you will feel your navel kind of take a lot more of the weight. Try to flex the bottom part of the buttock, really flex near the thud and push that down so you're pressing more of the pubic region down. And then push your palms flat to the floor wherever they are. If your hands are interlaced because you're, praying to get out of this quickly, turn your palms flat to the floor so they're in line with your shoulders, and then don't move them front to back. Just with the shoulder under, or the elbow under the shoulder, palm flat, push your hands into the floor and lift your chest up a little bit. But for every little bit your chest goes up, can you work your legs down a little harder in this action? When you press your hands down, notice what comes up first. Probably your shoulders lift up towards the ears. So move your head up and back. So you're encouraging the upper middle part of your back, your upper thoracic, to move with the arm at the same time. One is not dragging the other. Combine those two parts to work in tandem. Move your shoulders back, Ms. Shuba. There you go. So now, thighs are pressing down, glutes are pressing down, yes. To press from the bottom of your buttock to the pubic region to the floor. And look at what you can move on your head more, since your arms are probably at their max. Can you move your head back to start teaching the bend to now happen in the upper thoracic? For a lot of us, that's difficult to even tilt the head up. Be sure not to press the back of your head into the neck. Everything is long, but it's like you're trying to take the crown of your head to your feet. And breathe. Head up, Katie. Come down, rest for a second. Good. That is legs depression. We're not going to do upward dog too much, but we are going to work wheel pose though. So bend your right knee, bring your foot towards your hip. Take your right hand back behind you and grab a hold of your right foot. If you can grab the top of your right, or the middle to front of your right foot, that's great. So it's not Bajasana, it's not frog, we're not pulling the knee down, but prop your chest up with your left elbow now. And for a moment, just to start feeling the action, flex your thighs and pick your right knee up off of the floor. Whew. Push your foot against your hand and continue to lift the knee off the floor. So now the quad and the hamstring are working. Not yet, Glenda, not both. Wait for it. Your left arm's picking your chest up, Glenda. There you go, dear. Yeah, you got it now. So now, when you push that foot against the hand and pick the knee up, feel the muscles that have to work. Where does the body weight want to go? For a lot of us, it tilts towards the lower back. Flex the buttocks, push the pubic region down so that the quad can connect, the hamstring can connect and help lift. Bring the leg down, switch legs. Wheel pose, where we lift the chest and the legs simultaneously, is not an easy action because the tendency becomes we want to lift both the chest and the legs from our lower back. Neither will work. You'll get some movement, you'll lift up. If you're hypermobile, you'll make a very pretty looking pose, but you'll also hurt yourself. Trust me, I've known a lot of students to do so. So when you grab a hold of your left foot with strap or with hand, first off, look at your left knee. Has it swung to the outside of your hip? Bring it in towards the left, towards the right leg. Don't allow your thigh muscles to quit working right out the gate. I get it, Caitlin. Pets and yoga, they love it. That cat's is gonna love on you the whole time. Push the foot against the hand, put your right elbow on the floor and pick your chest up, just so you can start training this lifted action. Now push the foot against the hand and pick your left knee up off the floor. Shuba, do not pull the left heel towards the buttock. The left foot is pulling on the shoulder and arm. There you go, more of that. So even as your right arm helps pick your chest up, notice when you lifted your left leg, how much weight went towards your abdomen. Flex your buttocks, push the pubic region of the pelvis down. So you're trying to shift your weight back. This takes a lot of time to learn because mostly we want to tilt towards the tightest part of our body, which will be our upper back. All right. Bring the leg down, switch hands. Right hand grabs right foot. Left arm will pick the chest up. All right, so now when your right hand's holding the foot, I want to talk about the shoulder part of this real quick. There is a challenge in this pose that you have to trust the legs and the upper back muscles to do most of the work. The arms do not do as much as you'd think. If you are pulling on your foot with your hand to pick your chest up, you will only pull your shoulder forward, which will bring your chest down. The arm has to be kind of passive in the shoulder girdle, so the arm pulls back. So when we were doing this in straddle, had the arms back behind us, that's kind of the action that has to take place. The chest opens and pulls back. So when you hold on to your right foot, push your foot against your hand and try not to resist, let the shoulder go away from you. The more that that shoulder is pulled back, the easier this pose gets, because it is a pose of the legs and the upper back doing a lot of the work. So push your foot against your hand, lift your right knee off the floor, and just kind of breathe into it and try to encourage your right shoulder to go away from your neck back, and then let your head follow it. For some of you, you will feel like you are falling to the left when you do this. And if you feel that, that is correct. This is a pose where both sides should be doing it. It's not a half of a pose. It's not really great for that. But when you feel like you're falling that way, that means that your right side is actually lifted correctly. So good. Congratulations. You're half falling over, but that's 100% correct. All right, switch your hands. Left hand has left foot. Don't worry, you're going to get to try it all, regardless of what level you're at. In the yoga class, this is where I'd be like pulling on your feet or whatever. Now, remember, when you grab that left foot, don't take your left knee out to the left. Keep your thighs moving towards each other. Keep your thighs in Tadasana action. Even though we didn't practice Tadasana tonight, I'm sure most of you know what that is. Good. Push your foot against the hand. And then lift. But when it lifts, the leg's pushing against the hand that gives the leg resistance. That's the resistance your arm is. But your arm is not pulling against, it's going with. So there's a lifting action that comes from a loose shoulder and a strong active leg. So again, if you feel like you're falling to the right, great, love it. Flex your glutes, flex your thighs. Press the pubic region of the pelvis down from the back buttock towards the front. This will keep, over time, help you feel like you're tilting and falling. You will tilt and fall a lot, we all do. All right, come on down. Here we go. Both hands, one grabs each foot. Or you got to strap around both feet. Even if your chest only lifts a little and your arms move back, I'm super happy for you. All right, before you go kicking up, notice how many of you already have picked, like, are throwing your low back into it. Flex your glutes and depress the pubic region. Then push the feet against the hands. Think about your legs trying to straighten out and dragging you with it. This is a challenging part of the pose, to lift. Pick a thigh up, one thigh, your choice. Pick it up, push the leg back as you pick it up. Everything to make that leg fire. Switch your legs, still holding on. Feel how you wobble, right? Now you're kind of finding on each side where your abdominal weight and where your pubic region weight is. All right, pick up both knees any degree, flex them both. There you go, Ryan. Good, Glinda, nice lift. Laura's good. Let those shoulders go back. Move your head up on its own strength. When you lift your head, you lift your upper back. Woo, go Chaya. Very good, Pratima. I like it. If you're giving up, I like it when people don't give up. That's good. I don't care if you're just laying there barely doing it, but you're not giving up, right? Because this is the yoga that matters. This is yours. You want the changes? You got to not give up on you. Even if this doesn't make you enlightened in this moment, this is still a thing that you can look at in your time when. I didn't quit. No matter how much that a-hole Dustin pushed me and made me cramp and told bad jokes and kept me in the pose for a minute, I didn't quit, nor how much my cat got in my face. I love that cat. All right, relax. Well done. Lay on your backs. Oh, exhausting. Lay on your backs, flip over. Bend both knees with both feet flat to the floor. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Draw the left knee to the body. You can either grab the back of the knee with both hands and stretch the hip, or you may take your left foot into the air and grab that foot and pull it towards you and stretch the hip and the hamstring. If you take the leg into the air, you must hook the strap or a hand and grab a hold of the foot. Don't grab your calf or your knee. The extension of the leg means that you need to use that extended point as different leverage. Left ankle over right thigh, Shubha. There you go. Don't worry, when we're all back in person, we're also lucky to have like the vaccine. I'll correct everybody and yell just like normal. It's so hard to critique online. All right, keep pulling on the strap. But again, same action. Point that left leg. Use the strength of your left leg like a post that you're just pulling on to encourage the right hip and knee to move. But that left leg needs to be strong and stable for the safety of that left knee joint. Switch your legs. Take your legs out of the pose. Now, if you can stretch both legs up and grab a hold of each big toe, one in each hand, that's great. Do so now. If your hamstrings are tight enough that you cannot get your legs up and grab your big toes, or straighten your legs up holding onto your feet, use a strap with both feet. Holding onto the legs, pull the legs over, letting your hips lift up off the floor, thighs together, feet together. So this is an actual inverted form of the seated forward fold that we do so often, but it is challenging to get into because, again, we want to make the work happen from our low back lifting. It will not. So if you're having trouble getting a full lift, point your feet harder. Think about your legs stretching away from your hips. The more you point your feet and activate your legs and take it out of your low back, take a nice belly breath, and then let your low back relax and let your glutes lift up to the ceiling. You see full forms of this pose, the senior teachers' butts are way in the air. So if you find that you're just absolutely having any trouble getting lift, feel free to put a bolster, a blanket, or something under your butt to get some height. Because this isn't just about your hamstrings, This is about the elongation of the lower lumbar. So the legs are absolutely powerful, stretching towards the hands. The hands are active, pulling on the legs by pulling the elbows wide to draw them into the full fold of the pose. Remember, I've pointed out, especially over the last COVID, that a lot of the ideas of our pose form isn't about straightness or rigidity. There's a lot of curve and rounding to it. Bend those elbows. You'll find your legs and back might move a little better because your upper back isn't locked. Good, a few more seconds, breathe. Take a look at your thighs. Are they strong? Squeezing in and extending. So regardless of the form of the upper body or the lower back, we take and keep the legs in an active stability. When we do standing poses, they must be active. And the true is same in a lot of our seated and supine poses. All right, nicely done, everybody. Stretch your legs out, relax. Let the eyes close. If you want to prop up your legs, if you want to support your head, neck, or cover your body, now's the time for it. Remember, this is the yoga that matters. This is the yoga you showed up for. This isn't the class you skipped. This is your practice, your time. So take every little moment that you can to make it really extra wonderful for you. As Mr. Angar would say, you do a little yoga to change a little. You do a lot of yoga to change a lot. So do that extra thing for you that is the thing that I'm not asking for, but you know works for you in this time, that makes this more. Whether it's your knees are bent, your head's propped up, your body's covered, eye pillows, your head's turned whatever way, make it for you. Because this is the yoga that matters. This is the best. What you're doing for yourself. And rest for a few minutes and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.